Hello everybody, my name is Alex Schiller and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going through our next PC part picker build, and this is going to be based on the $750 budget. Now, again, as I preface with all of these videos, we will be going to MSRP prices based on user benchmarks set MSRP price. And that way we can kind of ignore the scalpers and see what we'd be able to build a $750 or whatever budgetary build we're going to do at an MSRP price once things start to get a little bit less crazy. So keep that in mind when we are putting these builds together. That way you don't get too low or high hopes based on what you see on Facebook Marketplace and eBay right now, because that's not accurate. So let's get started. Okay, so here we are on PC Part Picker, and we're just gonna go through each single part and work our way around a bunch of different things and see what we can fit in $750. So might be some cuts, might be some speed ups, but we're going to try and do this all in one take, starting with the CPU. So for the CPU, like the last build, the $500 build, we are dealing with the constraints of a little bit of CPU price hike that isn't too crazy for me to justify it as like a scalper. But we are going to go with a 4-core to price to performance again, and we are going to stick with a Ryzen 3 of some kind. And it doesn't look like the price gets any better. Good lord. No simultaneous multi-threading. We're going to go for the first one that has simultaneous multi-threading, and it looks like it's going to be the Ryzen 3 3100 again. And I really hope that this has 8 in the box. Maybe. It doesn't seem to tell me how many cores it has. We're gonna look it up because I'm not sure. This is something that you guys should always do when you're not sure about something. Instead of just kind of going with what PC Part Picker says, always kind of look it up. So we're gonna look at the Ryzen 3 3100 and make sure that it has 8 threads. It does have 8 threads. See right there, it's got 8 threads. So I'm not too worried about it. 4 cores, 8 threads is gonna be perfect for most games nowadays, especially if we give you the graphical horsepower to work with it. With simultaneous multi-threading, not gonna have any big of a deal. So $185. Kind of already a lot of our budget. So we're going to go right to the video card, and we're going to go NVIDIA in this price bracket just because there aren't a lot of great options on Team Red right now for this low of a price point. So I'm just going to go ahead right away and give you an NVIDIA card. In my personal opinion, if you guys like Team Red, like right now I'm running Team Red solely because I don't want to have multiple types of drivers on my PC. Totally up to you. But at this point, I am going to go Team Red for you guys. We're probably going to be looking somewhere in the neighborhood of the 1660 Ti. I'm going to go ahead and look at what that is going to be MSRP and see if that will fit our budget. Typically, you want to fit right into, I would say, 50% of your budget for your GPU. That will give you the best possible price to performance. So this is about $280. We're looking at about $750. We could almost get into 2060 territory with this card. Let's see what the 3060 is theoretically supposed to go for. I knew I would accidentally hit the webcam. Dang it. Sorry, guys. So that's $330. That's about half of the price point. So the 3060 is supposed to be going for about $330. So we'll put a 3060 there. And actually give you guys a really beefy GPU right off the bat. Now, obviously, scalpers are going to bend you over. So we're just going to try and see if we can find the stock card from NVIDIA. They're not going to give us that. So we're going to go, I know EVGA is pretty much around the similar price. So we're going to go for this X Black Gaming here. 12 gigabyte memory. That doesn't seem right, but we'll pick that. So we're going to manually enter the price at $330. I hit 0 again. Gosh darn it. Hold on. All right, there we go. So locked in at $330. We're about $515, which means we have about $235 left to play with the rest of our components, which isn't too bad. We might need to take it back down to a 1660 Ti. We'll see what we can get out of it. So I want to, in this price bracket, try and get you guys ATX. We'll keep micro ATX in the mix, B450 at the very least. ASRock, Asus, Gigabyte, MSI, MZXT is not something I would consider. That would be the best possible guys I would offer from. ASRock has a really good baseline for their boards. This one, the B450M HDV, looks pretty good. Has an M.2 slot. Looks like it. No, it just has one. So we have one M.2 slot, one 16, and then one 8 PCIe slots. You got 2 DIMM slots for RAM. Not feeling too great about that. We're only going to populate 2 slots with this build, but I'm not feeling too awesome about that. We might have to come back to it just because of our budget. MSR B450 Pro M2 looks kind of nice. Let's see what we got here. 1 16 and then 2 8s. You're going to have that 8th covered by one of your GPUs, so you probably only get one 8X slot. You only get 2 slots there too as well. One M.2, not 2. What kind of I/O does it have? Ryzen likes super speedy memory, so allowing us to have all this kind of memory is going to be awesome. Only up to 32 gigs, so keep that in mind. We're only going to be putting 16 gigs in this kit, so one 8 slot, or excuse me, 1 16 slot, 2 Type 1 slots. It's not even Type A slots. 1 gigabit Ethernet. If you have to do like any work, I would not be excited about just gigabit Ethernet. 1 Gen 2, and then 2 2.0 headers. That's pretty good. 4 SATA, and then 1 M.2 slot. I think this is the one we're going to go for. MSI is a really reputable brand. It'll be a good start for you. Corsair Vengeance is probably going to be the cheapest. We're going to go Corsair Crucial, G-Skill, Kingston, and Team. And then we're going to go 2 sticks of 8 gig at least 3,200, at least 3,000. We're going to get ahead of ourselves here. So yeah, I mean, really cheap kits, honestly. It's pretty much of a black and white build right now, so I'm just going to give you a little bit of flare of red for Team Red to start you off there. And we're looking at $669, nice, and you still have storage, case, and power supply. At this point, I don't see us going over this 309 watt number, probably somewhere in 400. So we're gonna go for $500 or 500 watt power supply. I'm gonna go 80 plus bronze. 500 watt power supply to like 600 watt. We'll see. We'll go semi-modular. Honestly, EVGA has a lot of really good basic. Yeah, 80 plus bronze, semi-modular. You've got a 500 watt too. It looks like the 600 watt is cheaper, so we're going to go for the 600 watt. That's going to give us $712. We're probably going to need to go down to a 1660 Ti. Let's look for a case. We want a nice case. Honestly, I've been looking at a lot of nice NZXT, Corsair cases at the moment. Let's go down the line here. Be Quiet's another good case manufacturer. We don't want something that's going to like cut your hands as you're building it. That's just not ideal. If you can get a nice case that allows you to grow a little bit with it, that would be a good start. So you definitely want to look at that when you're buying cases. That's why when I built my brother's PC, I was very conscious of that. When I'm building my even littler brother's PC right now, I'm super conscious of that. Thermal take is another good idea. Silverstone. Roswell, a lot of people like Fantex. Lee & Lee is just too expensive for what it is, so I'm not going to click Lee & Lee. A lot of you are probably angry that I didn't click that already. Yeah, we'll start with that and see what we can get for a pretty decent price point. Thermal tank Versa. You're not going to be getting good side panels and stuff like that, but it looks like you could get some decent airflow with this case. It does have a solid front panel, which might be a problem. Let's take a look and see if it has. It isn't gonna tell us if it has a vented hood. Okay. So I wouldn't go with that one solely because it doesn't have a perforated front panel, because that will lead to worse cooling down the line. This Silverstone case actually looks pretty good. It's got perforated front panel. It's got one case fan. Does that have a side panel? No, so it doesn't have an acrylic side panel. Looks like it's gonna be good for micro ATX and ATX. It doesn't have a shroud for the power supply like the other one does, but that's not going to be too big of an issue. So your power supply will go on the bottom, and then you have your micro ATX case up here. Your graphics card will sit probably right there. Not a lot of great cable management options, but again, this is a pretty budget build, so let's go with this one. I'm not too mad about that. It's going to give you that perforated front panel. That's going to give you that good I/O. So good I/O and good airflow. So that's kind of a good point here. We're going to go for probably going down to the 1660 Ti, which was, if we remember correctly, somewhere in the neighborhood of $220, $280. So that'll save us $40, which will easily get us our storage. So $280 for 1660 Ti. We're gonna go for EVGA again, just because I know that they're gonna be pretty close to the MSRP of the Founders card. That way, your guys aren't going too crazy over with like an Asus card. And obviously, if you have a little bit more money to spend, $50 over that isn't gonna be too bad. So let's just go with the SV Ultra there, SC Ultra, excuse me. So 280. Yeah, no prices available. I know. Isn't it worse? Isn't it the worst? I hit 0 again. Why'd I do that? Whoop. There we go. And so we've got the 1660 Ti at $280, which leaves us about $40-ish for our storage. And honestly, I'm going to give you a pretty high capacity SSD to get you started. The question is who am I trusting with this? Probably gonna be Kingston, and I would venture to say SanDisk, Western Digital I use in my own rig, PNY Patriot, nope, PNY and Patriot. Let's start with those and see what we can get for pretty cheap. Well, let's not go crazy. We want an SSD. And we would prefer it in an M.2 form factor, but we'll also take 2.5 inch. Hello. Hi. The fiance is home from work, trying to distract me from my video creation.
I just wanted a hi.
So 2.5 inch might be a good idea here. I don't know what the SanDisk would go up to if we did like 480 gig. Probably not too crazy. $56. And I've used this before in laptops as well as in my actual case. So this isn't too bad. It's not going to store a lot of games. So maybe we go the 120 for the SSD there. And then we try and get a decently priced hard drive. All right, so we're running into a little bit of a problem here with this build. So we have the 4-core CPU. That's what we want. We have the decent motherboard. The RAM is good. That's kind of where we're going to need it to be. We're running into a problem with storage here where we have an M.2 starting drive, boot drive is what I was trying to say, and then getting you some game storage here with a terabyte hard drive. We might have to take you down to a 1660 Super, which again isn't, I mean, we can look at user benchmark all day and say this card isn't good, this card isn't great, this card blah, 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 blah. But if we look at the 1660 Super, we're going to notice that for the price point, you're only getting like a 2% increase. So at this point, I think we would say 1616 Super so we can get all the storage that we want. We could even probably boost ourselves up to a higher grade boot SSD, and that way we don't have to upgrade it as soon in the future. So let's go ahead and look at 1660 Supers. And it looks like, obviously they're going to be way overpriced, but we're going to grab an EVGA one, because, or PNY, no, you don't want to go to Best Buy. Don't go to Best Buy if you don't have to, kids. We're going to stick with that same class, EVGA Super 6 gig. So let's do it that. add that to our card, and then we'll put it in the right spot. And I won't hit 0 this time because I'm not an idiot. 240. And then we'll save that price. And so 750 flat. I'm going to keep it right there. So at the end of the day, we go with a Ryzen 3 3100, 3.6 gigahertz quad-core CPU with 8 threads. So it's going to be good for, again, most games. It's not going to be too crazy. We're going to go with an MSI B450, which is a mid-tier B-style motherboard, which is going to have some I/O and some upgradability in the future, as well as just exactly what you need for right now. 16 gigs of 3000 megahertz of memory is going to be excellent. You're going to have 120 gig boot drive with a terabyte of storage for your games. Pretty good for running like a basic application or two, probably like 3 or 4 applications that you could run on the SSD and then have all your games on the hard drive. Because at the end of the day, once the game starts, it doesn't really matter. It's the loading times getting to the game. The 1660 Super is going to be perfect. That little beginner graphics card that's going to get you exactly what you need. Like I said, it's only a 2% increase to get to the TI. So if you can afford that little bit of $40 to get up there, you can do that if you want. But the best value for your money is going to be the 1660 Super. You've got that Silverstone case. It's going to provide adequate airflow for what you have now and in the future. And then a 600-watt power supply, which is semi-modular and 80-plus bronze certified, which is going to get you everything you need. So that is exactly what I would recommend for what we're dealing with right now in the scalper world and good old pandemic. So that's my idea. If you guys have comments, questions, or suggestions for it, you can leave them in the comments below in this video, or you can join our Discord community and have conversations with everybody who talks about our PC stuff in the Discord down below. That way you can yell at people consistently instead of just on this video. But that being said, if you like what I did today, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more of this. Like I said, we're going to be doing $1,000 and $1,500 build after this. And click that notification bell so you know when those videos do come out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye-bye.